This is a Ramping Up Your English book review. If your English proficiency is nudging into the advanced level, you might be able to appreciate this high-quality book from National Geographic. It's entitled World's Great Train Journeys. As the title suggests, readers will learn about passenger trains in countries outside of the United States. One chapter I especially enjoyed was the one about the train through Mexico's Copper Canyon. I should warn you, though, reading this book might lengthen your bucket list. Reading is the most effective way to build vocabulary for intermediate language learners. Reading World's Great Train Journeys would be an exciting yet challenging experience for English learners. If nothing else, you'll enjoy the beautiful photographs. For Ramping Up Your English, I'm John Letts. Welcome back to Ramping Up Your English, a support program for intermediate level English learners. You can watch and download this program and others by visiting archive.org/details/roguetv. Choose Ramping Up Your English from the sidebar or choose my name, John Letts. You can see this program on Channel 15 in Ashland and Channel 182 on Charter Cable. This is segment 3 of episode 11. If you're approaching improvement in English from a grammar direction, you may wonder, why didn't we list adverbs instead of verbs for describing the action of moving? After all, it's the role of adverbs to say how an action takes place. Well, all that is true, but the verbs we just worked with do the job in a smoother way, as if the adverb were somehow embedded in the verb. You could use the word moves and then add an adverb, as the train moved steadily, but it's just not as advanced as using the verb form. Also, many of the movement verbs simply don't take the adverb form. Jerkily, rockily, bouncily all seem forced. They don't really sound right. If you use the adverb form of creep, creepily, you create a whole different meaning. So if you're determined to avoid the verbs that are specific to the kind of movement, you would do better to use the noun form of move, movement or motion, and then add an adjective. That would work for some of them. The train has a jerky movement when coupling with other cars, for example. You could use the ing form of some of the words, such as the train made a swaying motion, and those are all fine and may fit your style better. You can even say the train made a creeping motion, as long as you don't use the word creepy. Creepy means something that might make your skin crawl. Other than that, let your ear be your guide. The Sunset Limited offered all these forms of movement as it rumbled west, as we'll see in Part 4 of the Sunset Limited Westbound. The long trek across Texas comes to a close as we pull into El Paso. This Union Pacific freight yard is close to the passenger station.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I could please have your attention. Our next station stop, El Paso, Texas, will be coming up in about...
The Sunset Limited began this journey in New Orleans on its way to Los Angeles, picking up cars from Chicago at San Antonio. Now it approaches El Paso, some 900 miles since we crossed the Sabine River at Orange. As the train eases up to the El Paso station, it can look like we're passing it up. The front end of the train pulls well ahead so that all the cars can fit on the platform. For the first time since Alpine, passengers can get off and walk around. El Paso is a service stop and a crew change. This station is one of the most notable buildings in El Paso. I always get off here to get a good look at the train that has carried me over 1,000 miles so far. At the rear of the train, I see the private cars we've been pulling. These classic cars are owned by clubs, and they pay Amtrak to pull them behind the regular train. These cars are self-contained by necessity. Riders on these cars don't have access to Amtrak services like the dining car.
This is a great when the people come into the train.
The Sunset Limited picks up many new passengers in El Paso. From the Amtrak station, it's easy to get a glimpse of Ciudad Juarez on the Mexican side of the border. As the train pulls out, this border city remains in sight.
Okay, I think that's the Rio Grande. Or as we'd say in Spanish, Rio Grande.
We get as close as 20 feet to the border between the United States and Mexico here. Again, that's Juarez, Mexico, off to the left-hand side of the train.
These hills are usually hot and dry, but on this trip, they're covered in snow.
Yep, that's snow out there.
Yep, that's the border right there. That's what that sign, that green sign. I remembered that from coming over the first time. So that fence right there, that's the border.
Border Patrol on my side.
Oh, our
There's
side
three
too.
there.
3 of them. Well, they should have an easy time tracking someone in the snow.
It wasn't always snowy when we left El Paso.
Wow.
Looking north from the train, New Mexico's Las Cruces country was bathed in that magic hour light photographers love so much. El Paso is very spread out, in this case sprawling to the west. And near the west end of El Paso, we find ourselves in this new train yard.
Yeah, Dad.
With concrete cross ties and facilities to lift cargo containers, this was not my father's train yard. Year after year and trip after trip, we watched the Union Pacific Railroad build this huge facility. We waited here with the eastbound Sunset Limited until we were given the green light to continue rolling westward.
You waved at me.
3 Indians.
Through New Mexico, we still had some great western scenery. On most trips, we slept through this country.
We awoke to California's Palm Springs and scores of wind turbines. This magical country told us that we were getting closer to Los Angeles.
And we do hope you enjoy your stay in Los Angeles, or wherever your final destination may be.
Well, we did it. Chased the sunset all the way to Los Angeles. There are so many things to do here. Close to Union Station, you can tour the oldest house in Los Angeles, have guacamole made fresh at your table, or just stroll down Calle Alvarado. Union Station awaits you at the end of this long journey. You can catch another train here, or just cool your heels down in L.A. Either way, you can celebrate your ride on one of America's most famous trains, the Sunset Limited.
Welcome back to Ramping Up Your English. Today we use specific verbs to describe an action. Good news for my viewers and rail fans, you'll find 2 bonus videos on my website, letscreate.org. Both feature the Westbound Sunset Limited programs, plus some extra footage. That includes the view from a combine harvesting rice in Louisiana. They're yours to enjoy. Just go to the episode 11 page on my website, letscreate.org. I want to thank my volunteer crew, my announcer Bob Ayers, and I want to thank you, our viewers. See you next time on Ramping Up Your English. I'm John Letts.
You've been watching Ramping Up Your English, a support program for intermediate level English language learners. Learn more. Visit our website at letscreate.org. You can also watch or download today's program at archive.org/details/roadtv. Join us next time on RBTV Voices for Ramping Up Your English.